Hi, and welcome to Headspace. I'm Dr. Ajetta Robinson. I'm a licensed clinical professional counselor with expertise and certification in grief and trauma. This past year has created a deep awareness of the different types of losses that we experienced and have internalized, whether they be physical or symbolic. Today, I'll be talking about why it's so important to name those losses in order to better understand our needs and take care of our overall health. Let's get started. Losses tend to fall into two buckets, physical loss and symbolic loss. With physical losses, we usually are able to name them because they involve something tangible, a loss that is seen. It could be the death of a loved one or the physical loss of a house, perhaps due to a fire or an eviction. Symbolic losses, on the other hand, are ones that we can't see. They're intangible in nature, and we often don't even recognize them as losses. For the past year, we've been grieving the loss of the known knowns. You may have experienced the loss of community in some form or another, the loss of control or safety, or perhaps a loss of income. And perhaps one of the largest and most encompassing losses, the loss of identity. The challenging part about symbolic losses is that we don't have rituals or built-in support systems for them. So oftentimes they can accumulate if we don't have the language to name them and then seek support for them. This accumulation can trigger the same grief response as a physical loss. You see, grief is a full-body experience. We pack all of our grief and trauma and feelings into our bodies. Now let's dive into a few strategies you can implement to start addressing grief and navigating life post-loss. First, it's important to acknowledge that you are grieving. Again, we can't heal from the things that we don't name, so we have to be able to name them. This also means changing our own expectations of ourselves, recognizing that we're in this uncharted space so we can practice self-compassion. Next, identify the life transitions where the grief occurred. We don't have to know all the nuances, but again, we need to name them. It might be transitioning in and out of employment, moving to a new city, or even changes in the family structure. For example, someone moved out of the house, parents separated, or someone died. Then go back further and think about your loss history. For me, my grandmother died the week that I was born. That event changed so much for me. It changed my first name. It changed my father's availability as a parent and as a spouse. And so I walked into a world of loss and didn't even know it, yet I inherited it. I also asked people to reflect on what types of support they received around that loss. Who gave you support? What did that support look like? In hindsight, what support do you feel like you actually needed then? Do you remember any conversations about grief? This helps to understand what our loss patterns have been, what our responses to losses have been, and what our loss rituals are. In this year of loss, we've also learned a lot about the things that we want to release ourselves from. Loss creates an opportunity for us to review our lives and consider what we want to protect moving forward. And so I think we all learn more about the boundaries we want to maintain, whether it be work-related or friendship-related. Moving forward, it's imperative to continue instilling boundaries in regards to your time and your resources. Being able to say no and allowing it to be a complete sentence is one of the best things you can do with respect to your self-care. Instead, create sacred and intentional time for yourself, where you're fully unavailable to others so that you can restore your energy. I want to re-emphasize the intersection of physical and mental health, because oftentimes when we neglect one realm, it shows up somewhere else. So get a good night's sleep and even go to bed early. Cultivate a daily meditation practice. Be mindful of your nutrition. I know there's a handful of us that still skip lunch even when we're working at home. Move. If you put your body in motion, it will thank you. And motion does not need to mean an elliptical machine or going on a run all the time. I'm not an elliptical person, but I will throw on some jams and dance and let loose, because that is enough to get my body moving and to get my mind and my heart in sync with each other. No matter what, pay attention to your body and what it needs at any moment. Resting your body is as important as moving it. We're trained to go, 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 and to give until depletion, even while grieving. So I urge you to not feel guilty to just be. Be in stillness when your body needs. That is perfectly okay. If nothing else, this year was a wake-up call about what's actually important. While we might share collective losses, we do not all have shared access to resources, time to heal being one of them. So let's name our losses and show compassion to everyone around us. I'm Dr. Ajetta Robinson, and thank you very much for watching.